I remember getting into an argument online a couple years ago because someone made a comment stating that English, the language, comes from Germany. That English is literally from the country of Germany, or at least the area that became Germany. I replied to this and said this isn't true, that English comes from what is now England, and I stick by this belief. But to my surprise, literally nobody was on my side for some reason, except for maybe one person. The comment that English is from Germany got hundreds of likes, and it made me wonder, are TikTok comment sections just filled with stupid people, or am I wrong? Well, I still stand with this claim that English isn't from Germany. But why? We've all heard that English is a Germanic language, and many of us know that Germanic languages, which are a part of the larger Indo-European language family, come from northwestern Europe and modern day Germany. So English must be from Germany then, no? Well, not really, and today I will explain why I hold this belief. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Where is a language from? Is a language from where it developed into its modern form, where people identify with it, or where its ancestors are from? The language of English is a West Germanic language, part of the Greater Indo-European language family. The Germanic branch of the Indo-European family developed in northwestern Europe around the year 500 BC. The West Germanic branch then later split, forming its own group later on around the 3rd century CE. This branch is by far the largest branch of the Germanic languages, with over 490 million speakers worldwide, including languages like English, Afrikaans, German, and Dutch. The language of English developed due to migrations from mainland Europe in the 5th century from the North Sea region, from the area which is now modern day northern Germany and Denmark. The Anglo-Saxons and Jutes were the main tribes to migrate. They were North Sea Germanic speakers, a branch of the West Germanic language family, and after forming their own communities, an amalgamation of their languages developed over hundreds of years, becoming Old English, which went on to become the modern English that we speak today. Okay, you may ask, you kind of just proved that English is from Germany, right? But why does it seem like English is the only language where you can claim that it is from where its ancestors are from? Because if we play that same game with Hindi, Farsi, Russian, English, Spanish, Italian, Kurdish, then we could say all of these languages are actually from the Pontic-Caspian steppe, because we know that Indo-European languages originate from the Pontic-Caspian steppe. But you wouldn't do that, right? If someone asks you where's Portuguese or Bengali from, you wouldn't say that these languages are from Ukraine and Russia. No, you would say Portuguese comes from the Iberian Peninsula and Bengali comes from the eastern Indian subcontinent in Bengal. How far are we allowed to go back to claim a language is from a certain area? The social construct of what is a language and what isn't objective. A language isn't from where its ancestors are from. A language, in my opinion, is where it developed into its modern state, and also it's very much tied into identity, identifying with a certain group. Some will say, well, their branch originates in Germany, the Germanic branch. A branch is just based on the ancestry of a language and the similarities that come with it. But like I mentioned, a language is not from where its ancestors are from. How do you know how far back to go? Would you say Sicilian is from Central Europe because its ancestral Italo-Celtic originates from there? No. The Germanic languages originate, yes, in modern-day Germany and Denmark around 500 BC, but 900 years later, the migrations of Germanic tribes to Britain happened, and that was about 1600 years ago. So why would you claim that English is from Germany? Why isn't English from Ukraine or Russia in the Pontic-Caspian steppe, where all Indo-European languages come from? People get it mixed up because they hear Germanic and automatically tie that into modern Germany, and also because they don't know the history of the development of English. They say, yup, this is from Germany because of the name Germanic. At the end of the day, what defines a separate language or a dialect is a social construct. I actually made a video about this. Language and ethnicity are very intertwined. Usually, an identity determines a language. There's a reason Serbs, Croats, and Bosniaks are considered different ethnicities and speak different languages. Even though all of their languages are mutually intelligible, they are pretty much the same languages. All of these ethnic groups are culturally very similar, genetically very similar, linguistically pretty much the same, and come from the same migrations of South Slavic people. But The one thing that decides that there are different ethnicities and speak different quote unquote languages is identity. This identity was shaped by their history, whether it be the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Byzantines, or the Ottomans. Their religious differences is another large component of their difference in identity, and those religious differences impacted their culture and how they view themselves in relation to other people. What we decide as a language is determined by identity. A Moroccan Arab is just as Arab as a Palestinian Arab in terms of their identity, but they speak languages that would be very hard for them to even speak to each other with. Their Arab identity is what makes them Arab, even though they speak different languages. In this same way, English is tied to the English identity and the country of England specifically. Old English started to develop in the 5th century with the development of the Anglo-Saxon identity, and this identity is what formed the modern English identity and the language spoken in England today, with hundreds of years of change, becoming mutually unintelligible with its relatives in the West Germanic languages of mainland Europe. This language of the English was connected to this identity and became the English language. English is unique to Britain. Unique to the regions it developed in the UK, it is not from Germany. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. Do you think English is from Germany? Were those TikTok comments right? Let me know what you guys believe.